Good morning. It is 10:30 a.m. It is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday Club. This is a weekly live stream where each week we take a look at some Ruby on Rails coding, and it all takes place in the same application. And what we have built is an application where you can give it the name of your YouTube channel and hopefully soon the Twitch channel. And it will go off and retrieve all of those videos from YouTube and build a little web page website for your YouTube channel. And then you can edit the video descriptions and thumbnails and things like that. And so that is what we do each week. I don't have much follow-up at all from last week. We have basically, for the last two streams, just focused on Tailwind CSS and kind of building the user interface for the kind of application that we're working on. And essentially, a lot of that has been for me working out how Tailwind works, how best to use it, pros and cons and all those types of things. Where it really clicked for me, kind of over the last couple of weeks, is using it in conjunction with the ViewComponent gem, which is, we'll kind of dive into what that is, but being able to use the Tailwind CSS classes on components that I then never really need to edit. I don't really need to see the kind of long streams of CSS classes being produced because I'm only ever really working with the components. Kind of helped it make a lot more sense in terms of tidying everything up. And that's kind of where I wanted to jump straight back in today and take a look at using ViewComponent with the TurboFrames and TurboStreams functionality that we had, and just seeing how whether we could, for example, even just pass a ViewComponent back. Do we need to kind of even do anything more than that? Could we put the whole thing inside a component and pass that back as a TurboFrame or TurboStream response? That could be kind of interesting, and just kind of dive in there. So no other follow-up. We're just going to dive straight in this morning. So let's jump into it. So let's catch up to where we were. So we spent the first Tailwind week kind of literally building out this whole page, which was our big heading, and then a text input where people could say, what's the name of your channel? And we could say that it's we could say that it's Sunday Club. That'd be more exciting. So that's the name of our channel, and we could create a website for it. And then say, right, what's the ID of your YouTube channel? And I am going to go and grab that now. And it is in my other browsers or on my other screen. So bear with me just a second. And it's this one. So we can paste that in, and we can then submit that. It will then ask us to create our user details. So you'll see if you've jumped to this episode having seen any of the other ones, you'll see that we now have a user interface, which is so exciting because all of this looked really rough. And this is now, everything on here is inside a ViewComponent, each one of these individual parts. So this is the white box here on the light gray background, the input. I don't think the labels are, but the title comes from the panel component there. That's the white box. And then the text inputs and the button are, you can see behind here. So this is the button component, the password field component, and the text field component. And again, we covered this in previous streams, but each view component is made up of this Ruby file where we inherit from view component base and pass it everything it needs, and then an ERB file, which shows it what to render. So each one kind of has the information that the other needs. And so these instance variables here, F, field name, placeholder, are the information that's passed into the view component. And so that's what this is made up of. So we can set ourselves up here. And there's some spam on the screen from Twitch, which is not good. Sorry about that. That does happen from time to time. So I'm going to enter a password in. We can sign up. So our account has been created. And what we actually have is a background job that goes off and populates the channel. But I had forgotten to turn the background job on. So I'm just going to run that manually. It's going to go and populate those. Again, all of this information is in previous streams. So if this is your first one you're ever checking out, you can go and see that. And then when we refresh this, the background job has populated all of the videos, and these don't yet have a user interface. So we want to kind of take a look at that today, and the admin interface. So this is our models are, we have a site, and a site can have many channels, and a channel can have many videos. And so this site has channel number 33. And so what we can then do is go to the control panel area, which is our kind of administrative area where people can admin things. And because I'm the user that owns that channel, I can see this admin area, and I can edit these videos. Now this is using TurboFrames, so that's where we want to get to today. So this is using TurboFrames to edit the video. So you can edit the thumbnail, the title, and the description of the video. And this page here, that's the site, but I'm just going to open another tab. So I'm going to have loads of tabs open. I'm just going to put this one here, and this is going to be the channel view, because you can have multiple channels. Cool. And then we can subscribe to that by clicking this button. And this is using TurboStreams to bring back this notification subscription partial. And that is TurboStream. So, and those are the things we want to, again, put action, put view component into so that we can see how they're formatted. So let's actually go and take a look at the pre-made stuff that we had before. I think that's Tailwind UI. I think there was some existing components on here that were kind of free to grab. Okay, so some of these were free and some of them were paid. So the ones with this code tab, I think you could just grab out. Just going to see if there was anything for like an admin page. So Tailwind comes with this Tailwind, or the option for this Tailwind UI thing. And there's basically like a bunch of pre-made components on here. So you don't need to bother doing them, basically. But it's all built with this, with the same Tailwind CSS as we've said before. So you could build anything in here. And these, I think, yeah, the ones that you pay for are like images, I think. Oh, these are all free, I think, which is cool. Right, what am I looking for? I want like, is there any way to like divide these up? Application UI. Right, okay, so I want, yeah, that would kind of be cool, like a sidebar layer or any of these. No, these are all paid. Okay. And so we can work out how to build one of those maybe. And this is for this admin page I'm looking at here, where we want to administrate these videos. No, we can kind of build our own maybe. And I'm not sure, we actually don't even have any navigation because you only go back and forth, so we could put it in the top bar. So we could say, let's just put these in, the center in a list for now and kind of come back to that. Or we could put them each in a little, or I suppose we could put them in a panel each, I guess. We've already got this panel component that we used on the sign up. I suppose the good thing is how quick that is to try out. So let's kind of start there, just because we don't have a design for this, because haven't really had any time to do that, and that's what these streams are for. Let's start there and see where we get to, and we can kind of let the way it looks guide us a little bit. So we've got this panel component. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we can see what it looks like and see what if we need some sort of variation on that. So let's go and take a look at where we are. We're in our control panel area. And we've got channels and videos are the things that you can administrate in this control panel area. And the thing that you're viewing, I think, when you go to this layout, is your channel. And that shows, we've got some logic on here. Oh, so this is whether you're suspended or not. Is there like a word valid appear at the bottom somewhere? Yeah, okay, cool. So we have this like suspended functionality, but it just loops over your videos, and then it render video, and that will render this video partial. Okay, and everything in here is our TurboFrame. Okay, so could we just put so could we put our view component, our panel component, I think it was called. I think it was .new. Then you had to pass in anything you want, and I think that just then went to a block. I'm trying to remember this. I haven't used it since last week. Let's see if we can just chuck everything in here. See what it looks like. And I think title, and then we could pass in the video.title. And there, I've like done that from memory. Let's see if that's the same. Okay, no, it doesn't look like it. Do we have to do render view component, panel component? That will be in our site setup UI. Oh, it's just that it's got the brackets in, so that actually should work, I think. So let's give that a try. Okay. So, I mean, it looks slightly silly because of the height, but we could truncate that description on there. And it doesn't look too awful. Also, they could be wider, but this idea of putting them each in a little box isn't too bad. So, for example, so when we're planning our components and having a component library, this is a kind of good example of where your initial, well, it's a contrived example, but like where your initial thought around, okay, well, this is going to be what all panels look like. And what we did is added in, if we go to our panel component, here we added in this max width large. And so the problem is that we're then defining what we want a panel to look like, i.e. it's this white on, I think the whole site has this kind of gray background. It's this white with the light, very light shadow lifted on top. But we're also defining the size of that component in the component. Whereas what you would probably want to do is say, well, actually, we're not going to define a width on that component. Maybe the component will always be the size of its container or whatever rules you define for it. And instead, we would ask the width be on the container of that. So like how flexible each individual item of your component library is depends on you authoring it, but that's really kind of decisions that you have to make. So another option you could have is you would have like variants, I guess. You could have panel, I don't know, small, medium, and large don't really work, but you could say for specific, it could be like a sidebar panel versus main content panel or something like that. And the reason for doing that over just having a generic one might be that there are specific constraints that happen to a sidebar one that don't happen to a main content one, and so therefore having one generically named one doesn't really work. And these are all things that you would end up in. So let's let's keep using this panel. Let's pull this width one out here, and then can we just drop back into our, this is used in a couple of places here, and we can just pop that, we can just take it from there and drop it onto this and this. So this is defining the width of what's inside there. So I think just open up another browser so we can check that. So we can just put test in there. Okay, so we've lost our, that would be something like, oh no, maybe it was flex box, so it needs to be flex inline rather than, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure we haven't lost our formatting on our previous, yeah, that has just got MX auto on it, bear with me. Let's Sorry, I just might edit it. Let me just give myself a bit more room here. Oh, maybe it's this one in MX4 Great. Okay. Yep. So that's now the same as it was, and it's the containing element that's telling our panel how large to be. So now, if we go back to here, these panels now fill the entire width of the page. So the panel component no longer has a notion of how wide it should be. So we could in here. Again, I haven't played any of this stuff, so I don't know what I would bump into long term on these. This feels like the kind of thing where, depending on your site and like the designers or who's doing the designs, who's doing any of that stuff, would get to make the calls about what's best for your component library. And obviously these things are always living libraries anyway. So this is okay, so I'm trying to learn this API. No, I have to keep checking it. I haven't learned it. Max W dash X2 or something like that. Why isn't the autocomplete kicking in either? So I have to go to the docs. So let's jump over to the docs. Wait, oh, this is Tailwind UI doc, sorry. Tailwind CSS. Documentation. Max width. No, not X3, it's 3XL. Okay, let's try that one. Actually, no, we want this to be pretty wide. I assume it's going to be wider than that. Let's see. Oh, and we presumably need... oh, morning. Good morning in the chats, David. Max to be 2XL. Yeah, sorry, I got there in the end. And then presumably we want MX4 on this as well because we want it to sit centered. And yeah, that seems kind of reasonable. And then we want to put some sort of padding on the bottom, I guess. Oh, sorry, we can put margin on the bottom. So that is margin bottom. Oh wait, yeah, that's dash, isn't it? So say 4. A little bit more 6. I guess this is Tailwind design, I guess, where you're just chucking some numbers in and seeing what happens. Okay, great. And so in here, okay, great. So in here, we now bring back our, and this one's TurboFrames, and TurboFrames goes and gets the full, sorry, I'm trying to remind myself, goes and gets the full page response from the, in this case, the edit view, and it chops out anything inside like the TurboFrames of it all. So we have we're looking at the channel show view, not the video show view. We're looking at the channel show view. That renders the video partial. When you click edit in the video partial, this is inside a TurboFrame. And what that means is anything inside there, when you click edit, it goes to get this URL, which is this, and it brings back the entire response, like the whole page, but it chops out. It only cares about this part here, this TurboFrame here. And what this means is we could wrap this in the same CSS and view component. So this is where I would guess you don't really want to try and maintain these. So this is where you could have like a video partial, or you wouldn't call it that. You could call it like video admin video component. You would come up with a name that was good and sensible. And then you could wrap those two things together so that you were essentially just wrapping the panel component, perhaps. And all it would do is, even if all it did was spit out the sizing stuff, and maybe you wouldn't call it admin video, maybe you would just call it admin, well, like we were describing earlier, like main panel, main content panel or something like that. And what I'm trying to get at there is your panel component is giving you consistency over the way that this white box is rendered, but we're losing consistency between the video partial and the form partial of how they're sized. And you want to keep those consistent, so you have a bunch of options. We could move you have a bunch of options. I would probably just keep going with the component idea and just consider them nested. Let's just see how that looks for now. Let's grab this and wrap, and wrap all of this. And it doesn't matter what any of that stuff is. And then we've got an end and a div, but that is, oh no, wrong one, sorry. It's confusing. I don't want this one open at all. I've got so many tabs open. Hang on a second, I'm trying to close down the ones I don't need. Yep, here and then here, I just want an end and a div. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So now if we, oh, I didn't even need to refresh that because it would go and get a new response. Ah, cool. Okay, so I've broken that. That's good. How have I broken that? Because there is no video there, that I had video rather than at video. Great. Yeah, that's an interesting quirk. So let me just put that error back. So what's happened here is this form partial needs an instance variable called video. I had a just a local variable video, and so you're going to get an error there. If you click edit in Rails, obviously I would try and render the whole edit view, and I would get my error. In this instance, when I click edit, I'm getting the error on the Ajax response for that. So in my console, I will see the error, but in real life, I will see nothing. And so that's just a change in the developer experience here. So let's go to console, because I put that error back, remember. Now if I hit edit, yeah, I get my request failed, and presumably I get just my error in here. Undefined local variable video. And you'd look at it and be like, oh yeah, cool. But without seeing it, you have to remember to go and check. So as soon as you see a TurboFrame button do nothing, you know what to look for, I guess, or where to look. And so I'm keeping, sorry if this is a little smaller on the stream, I'm keeping it zoomed out because I was having issues with responsive layout on, I suppose I can bump this up a bit, can't I? On Safari, but we're not working on that right now. So click edit. Right, so now we've got this editing experience that's much more consistent because it stays in the same panel size. So it's not, it is adjusting the height of the panel, but it's not fundamentally changing the width or anything like that, which is pretty cool. And so what we can also do is, okay, close this incognito one, is again, going back to now, the value that we're introducing with our components is, if you look, we've got text field, text area, rich text area, file field. We can swap those out with our components. Well, some of them with our components we've already got. So let's say we've got a text field component. So that's this one. And we've already got some examples of that. So I'm hoping I can just go and borrow from those. They were in here. That can go extended anymore. Oh, and we didn't put the label in there. Yeah, I'd probably put the label in there as well, or have another component called text field with label component or something like that. Yeah, we can save that. So we should bring this over. Let's see what this looks like. So we've got title. That's F, and the thing is. So again, we don't care about any formatting here. that's not hugely long. That can probably live there. We don't really care about any formatting here now, because that's what the component buys us. So now when we hit edit, you'll see that it looks like the other form components we already had, which is amazing. So it's a bit long. We can either decide to make a variant of the component. We can make it a new component. We could change the rules of that component to have a max width. All of the options are then in our hands for solving that specific problem, but then solving it every time going forward. So yeah, I don't think I've ever really seen any component library that isn't under constant development and revision, because there isn't like a solution. If you're new to this and you're thinking, oh well, yeah, I'll nail this the first time, like even if you feel like you've nailed it, there'll be new things that crop up that you need to deal with. So I don't think we have a text area component. So let's kind of keep going with these, because I'm kind of interested, because we didn't build out like email field or anything like that. But I think text area we can handle. Yeah, let's do one for each of these three actually. Let's do the work. So we can have text area component. We'll do the RB file. That can be similar to this one. I'm gonna do these really quickly, so which usually means I just don't concentrate enough. I don't even know if you can have a placeholder in a text. Can you have a placeholder in a text area? Oops, no, wrong one to click on. This is the one I was looking for. The text area also accepts several attributes common to form inputs, such as autocomplete. It does accept placeholder. Okay, cool. So we can leave that in. And then we want the actual template for it, and that is going to be an ERB for us. And I wonder if we can borrow a bunch of this as well. And what is text area? It's .text area. Form name, the description. Okay, so we've got focus, block, full, rounded, small text, and it's got an order. Okay, I think that's all we need is just formatting that. So then we can change this out. This is description, and this is text area. So then we can get rid of this, and let's see where we have ended up there. Get rid of this. Great, so you can see that we've now got more consistent styling on these. Still a bit weird looking, but you figure it out. Let's do the rich one. Let's keep going. These are only taking a little minute each. Copy these ones out. So this one can be. Oh, what was it? Rich text area. I probably would. I don't really care enough about it now, but long term I probably would put that as rich underscore text underscore areas, but just as we work quickly on this repo, so it doesn't really matter. No idea if that takes a placeholder or not. It probably takes, no idea, because that is the tricks one that we're using. That's for action text, and we then want the right. Okay, so what does that actually? It's just the same, but with rich text area. And then I guess we don't need, that comes with a bunch of pre-made styling. So I think we don't need any of this actually. So let's take that out for now and we can add it back in if we do need it. Because you can style the tricks editor, but I think it has its own, kind of deal. So this is rich description. This is rich description, so that can go. All right, let's see if that works. No, I've got a mistake in there somewhere. That is rich text area. Is that what I called it? Yeah, rich text area. Typo. Rich text area. Oh wait, did I get rid of the wrong? I totally got rid of the wrong one. Sorry. I've deleted all the classes from text area, not from rich text area. So I'm just going to put those back. Edited the wrong template. That's the problem with having this font size thing so big. There we go. See if that's the right way around now. Great. So title, description, rich description. We didn't solve the new line issue in rich description, I guess. Okay, we can come back to that. So then, so this is kind of the day-to-day stuff of putting your kind of component library together on the idea that you don't really need to do this work once, and then you're building all of your bricks, all your building blocks for the rest of your site. I mean, how many times are you likely to kind of fundamentally change your inputs? Like once you've got that, your variants are still going to be text boxes for people to type text in. Okay, so we do the far field one. Let's keep going. Yeah, I don't really know what we actually need on that. What do we pass it? I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'll close the other one. So what do we actually pass it? Nothing. Just put a far field. Okay, so we can copy the. It doesn't matter because we're not going to give it anything anyway. So we don't need that. We don't need that, and then this can be file field component. Yep, fine. And then we will just take whichever the one. This one is pretty reusable. Oh, whoops. I've just copied the wrong. Yeah, this is all we need. Sorry about that. I'm doing a copy and pasting pretty quickly, so bear with me. That's file. Oh, we've done the same thing again, have I? We just renamed the wrong one. Oh, that's so annoying. Sorry, clicking around just because I think I've renamed the wrong one or not saved it. No, I think I just didn't save it. Okay, fine. And then we don't need that or that. Okay, that can go. Then yeah, this can then just be file field. Don't need placeholder either. Again, I'm assuming we can style that, but we're not worrying about that right now. And then here, just want custom thumbnail. That can go. Click edit. Great, we've got a mistake. Let's see if we can do a quick spot. Yep, because that's rich text area, and this should be file field. See if we get this one. Yep. And so we get custom thumbnail, rich description, and title, all of these. So all of these are now components, and hopefully they still work. So just delete that, but test. Did that says test. We've still got our original one here, so we can paste that in, update the video, and now it looks super cool. And that's all still TurboFrames. So in here, we could so we just to solve that problem of having to keep the CSS classes. Oh, I'm just wondering how that would feel. So if we did have there was like a variant option in ViewComponent, wasn't there? Just looking at how the actual how the options for this would pan out. There's like a thing for this. Are they not variants? What are they called? Oh. Templates, maybe the simplest ViewComponent templates can be defined in several ways. They can be inline. It is also possible to define methods for variants. So that's a variant within new with variant phone. So hang on, let me try to work out. So new with variant phone, you have to define a method with call underscore on it, and then that gives you what to render. So could you, I suppose what I'm looking at there is like, okay, so we've got a panel. I know this is a contrived example, but I think I'm trying to get my head around ViewComponent. So we've got panel component here, and we could have something like I don't know, main content. That would probably not be a great name, but you've got the main content component, and that could wrap a div with that width stuff, and it could also contain a panel component as well, and we could just pass the title through. I'm guessing we could do that, or we could not even bother passing that. Again, go with me here. We could also just wrap it and then wrap, so that one could not need a title at all, and then you could do that. So this one sets the width, and then this one sets the styling. I don't know why you would want to do that, because, well, I suppose it does set the sizing of it. And then this says, hey, there's a panel there. You could have versions of this without the panel. But then what I'm thinking is, does that variant option give you? I've already forgotten what it was. With variant phone. And this could be with variant main content. And so inside panel component, oh, is this only... Is this only when you're calling them without a template file? You're not rendering them different template files, because the idea is then they would just be different components, I would guess. Okay, sorry, that answers that question, I think, because I was like, let's say that we had this with main content, we would then have like a def call main content, and in there you could say wrap this in these size classes, and then I don't know what you could do. You could be like do it as a block and then yield the rest of it, but then you'd have to do the whole thing in this class, I guess. So you'd lose the template aspect. Is there a separate render in here where you can like render this partial? But then I guess that gets away from the whole point of doing of using the view components. Okay, so don't do that. It seems to be the gist. Finian is wonder if you could do some cool stuff with inheritance since they're just Ruby classes. Yeah, I'm guessing that's kind of where I was thinking about the block as well. Like you could, let me just undo that. Morning, Finian, by the way, or good evening wherever you are. So in here, presumably you could do like the trouble is I can't take it because the problem is the output is going to be HTML. So if you haven't got access to the template, you'd end up being like, I'm presuming you get access to like content tag and stuff. And you could spit it out there. And like, yeah, like even with the inheritance stuff, you could, yeah, so you could have a component that inherits from another component with a different template, but you pass it the same stuff. I think you've got nothing but options with that, I'm guessing. But then the problem I see with that is that you're getting away from the value of having, or maybe you're not, maybe I'm being naive, but like the component library being like browsable and maybe going more down the React route of just nesting the crap out of everything. Yeah, I think I'm reaching for another. Yeah, it feels a little disconnected. Yeah, I think that's an interesting output. It's like in yeah, I was kind of thinking about how like in React you don't really think about just it. What is not kind of cost, but even the cognitive overhead of the component library. And I think in Rails, because partials are usually so bound to the resource, like probably the model or something like that, or the user journey. So it's like, new thing form like that. Whereas React, your component library is more like primitives, I guess, like elements that you're all throwing all together. So it's interesting to be in Rails land and not be like, oh, hey, I can probably just make this partial smarter. When it's like, well, actually, that might not. You might want to keep the dumbest, lots of tiny, small, dumb things to group them all together later, and then just wrap them in a equally dumb thing that just contains lots of other dumb things, and just pass everything down the chain. So I'm not articulating myself well today at all, but yeah, so if we did have like this, for example, like that's probably not hugely readable, but it does give you like infinite flexibility. If main content component was just a div with a bunch of CSS classes in, and be like, what? And you wouldn't call it main content because what the hell does that mean? But yeah, I guess it would, and it would, I think it would change for me like how come on, Max, get it together. So there's a stream in this channel where we looked at Figma and Sketch as user interface design tools rather than just designing it in the browser. And I think that they both now have library and shared library functionalities. So it would even be interesting to be like, okay, where are you drawing the line between what size and shape is the thing versus what it looks like versus what it does, and how are we going to reflect that in the component library in Rails? And I think I've never really done that beyond like, well, I've done it in React more, whereas in Rails, you just tend to rely on the CSS for that. Oh, well, we'll have a thing called button and it will make it look like the button. So I guess Tailwind is the forcing function here of not having like a button CSS class. You actually have a button component, and now you're going to decide how complex to make that component. Whereas you wouldn't have worried about that in a Rails partial necessarily, because you'd have just done whatever you needed to the button and done it with the CSS. Maybe I'm oversimplifying that, but this is an interesting, it's an interesting thing to think through, I think, but I don't have any, I think I'd be interested to build out like a version 1 of a more complex UI of this with like some stabs at it, and then see what broke. Like as you try to grow it and do more with it, you'd be like, oh, actually, I wish I had, more control over this or something like that. Where you start to fit. So this one, for example, I'm assuming like this. So if we had main content, let's just build that out. Let's finish this thought. Let's put a full stop on the end of this thought. So if we had like, again, stupid name, but let's just go with it. If we had a main, I think I'm really about to overcomplicate this, but go with me. So in here, so Finian's put in the chat, I feels like a view component is a more structured replacement for presenters, where you can add logic somewhere that's not the view itself. Not sure how the variant stuff would play out in real life. Yeah, I think of them more as, I think that they are more structured replacements for presenters. But it's at what point you place that logic. So because you could still have your presenter defining things like, let's say you were personalizing a page or whatever, your view component, I suppose you still put it in a component, you just have the highest level component, but you could still have a presenter that's like, okay, well, do you put hi Bob, welcome back versus hi Bob, welcome here for the first time versus good morning versus good afternoon, all those other things. You could presumably have like a welcome component that then wraps that stuff up, but you could also still have the presenter and then just pass that into the components if you're considering the components more as, I suppose if you're using the components more as just purely like, I think in my mind I'm thinking more as design tokens or something like that. But no, you're right. You could just put all of the logic in there, and everything then lives in a component, and you just nest them as you go. Well, yeah. So let's come back to the nesting. So if we have this main content component. So can we do this? So can we do, I actually don't know if we can do this. Let's copy this and then have main content component. So in here, so this is our section here. Or we could have called it section or something like that. Okay. Can we now in here render other ones? Like I'm assuming component.new title is title. Because what I was thinking is you could do it like React and have this, whatever you're passing down, you could just have it as like a hash which is effectively props. I think maybe I'm trying to bring too much React to this, but like you could just like pass this object around of stuff that then got passed down. So does this work? So what does the panel component need? It just needs title, wrap this up, and then you put main component. And so where did we end up using this on the so here we've got panel component with that. Here we've got panel component with that. So these can all go. Oh no, that one can stay. So I don't even know if this will work actually. And what's that one on form? Let's do the same thing on video. Let's make them the same. So does this work? So underscore video, we only have video there. So we are because we're not actually, we have to yield the content that's been passed to this. Oh, there we go. Am I screwing that up? So in here, we've been given a bunch of stuff. Oh, is it content rather than yield? Right, yes. Okay. That was a memory that I dragged out of doing it before. So the view component gives us this content, and that is the equivalent, I think, of yield. Okay. But this hasn't got our max width on it. Oh, because I never moved that over. Okay, so the ones that we took away was this. What did I do with it? 6. Okay, so we want these. Oh no, I've just damn it. I screwed myself over with copying and pasting there. That's in here. I want these, not the other ones. Yeah, because the panel component will give me the other ones. Okay, great. And then this should be main content. That can go. Yeah, I undid a bunch of this stuff, so I only really want the render. Okay, so I'm getting to I'm trying to make a point here. Right. Okay, so we're using here a main content component. That in itself is then rendering out the panel component as a nested component. We're keeping title as something that we've passed to both, but if you were doing loads of nesting, could you just make the thing you need at the highest level here like the equivalent of this? And then that's just like a hash that you pass down. That seems to very much not be in the spirit of things, but maybe I'm reading into it what the spirit of things are. Let's jump back over to the... So there is a life cycle. So slots were... Oh, okay, maybe this... No, that was for like rendering multiple things, I think. Okay, maybe Lambda slots is what we're looking for. Lambda slots return their render their return value. Lambda slots are used for working with helpers like content tag or as wrappers for another component with specific default values. Here we go. Okay, maybe this is what we're looking for. So block component renders one renders the return string. So renders one header. Returns a component that will be rendered in that slot with the default argument. Lambda are able to access state from the parent component. Okay, I think this is what we're looking at, and then pass through slots. Right, okay, I think this might be the view component of what I was basically trying to do there. So Lambda are able to access state from the parent component, I think is the sentence I was looking for to save me having to pass title down. Pass through slots capture content passed within a block. Define a pass through slot by omitting the second argument to renders one and renders two. So header. You spit out header. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm not sure which one of these I'm really looking for, so I'm assuming it's this one. Render. What does it say? Render strings or initialized components. Okay. Let's delve into this one. So here we have the blog renders many posts and it puts post component in. Renders one header classes do. So we're still not really using templates here. What I'm looking for is like, oh, do we just kind of lose our ability to use templates because we're back in content tag land at this point? And the answer is yeah, I think we do. And do they have to use the renders one and renders one and renders many? So this is header. Table component renders one header. But you can't tell it. That doesn't contain the logic as to whether or not to do it. I guess you'd have to put that in somewhere. So like, let's see, we're in our Rails main panel component here. So we could have renders one. I've already forgotten the thing we were talking about, like the size thing. So renders one main content. And then that would be spitting out yes, on the other one it's then in here, so I can just put this in here, don't need that. And title on I'm able to access state from the parent component. Oh, does that mean that you're still passing it down to the child though? What I thought it meant is that header component would just get that by default. Which it wouldn't, but you could make it an inherited version of that, I guess. Right, so that goes back to what Finian was saying. You could have main content component that inherits from panel component. So then initialize could just be like whatever else it needed and then title. Okay. And then it could be like main. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not articulating myself very well. I'm just trying to think all of those things through. I think I don't know how much use it is to kind of delve any further into these. I think there's options here, but I don't really have a problem I'm trying to solve. So, and I'm also not against the solution that we did end up with originally of wrapping the components inside each other like this, which I've already lost. Yeah, definitely lost it. This one here, where you're very explicit in your UI. Like this one isn't saying, hey, there are nested components in here. You could nest them deliberately. How complex you want your parent components to be, I think is the question I was trying to answer. But I don't really know how much I want to dive into that right now. Because I think you've got loads of options, and you just have to play around with them and see what worked. Again, how complex is your UI going to be? Because you've also got all the stuff that, like Vinny was saying, like you've got all the stuff that you're going to need to do with logic around, like what content is there, blah blah blah. All right, okay, let's. Right now, I'm not going to be too much longer. So let's assume this one works. Oh, so the other thing I wanted to take a look at was streams, turbo streams. So here, and this one I remember we. Oh, that's very zoomed out. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's go jump over there. So we're happy that this all looks nice and we've got options around those things. We've learned a bunch about it, and Tailwind played into that pretty well, I think. That definitely clicks for me around like being able to just drop CSS into those components and not have to worry about them. Again, even on the nested side, that would all take care of itself because they're all like isolated to that individual component. So let's go take a look at our view where we ended up with TurboStream stuff. And we will go and take a look at our controller where we did TurboStream stuff, mainly so I can remember how that worked. So it was like here, I think. Okay, so this line is interesting. So what we are doing here is we have a controller where we create a notification subscription. I remember all the wording of that stream being really bad. We have unsubscribe and subscribe. Cool. Okay, and so that was presumably we are creating and destroying. And the notification subscription was a model we created, and then I think there was another gem that we used to actually do the notify or something like that. That's my memory of it. New notification subscription with .deliver. What's new notifications? New subscription notification. Right, this was poorly named as well. Again, one of the downsides of the stream is that this was the noticed gem, and you defined the type of notification you wanted to give, and you just say, with this object, go and deliver the notification. And you could say that it could be via email or by whatever. That's cool. So that's the third-party gem work being done. This is creating a record, subscribing the user to the channel. This is sending a notification saying, hey, you've been subscribed. And this is what actually responds in the UI. What's test count? Was that the ID of the element that it had to swap out? So partial notifications. So let's see what view partial this is. And there's a reason I'm looking into this. So views, notifications, you are subscribed to. And so that is the one that appears up here when you click unsubscribe, then subscribe. You are subscribed to. And for some reason that doesn't come out. So that isn't actually working. You are subscribed to blank. So that's not working, which is fair enough. We can worry about that later. And what the hell's this then? I am the notification subscription partial. So I'm just reminding myself of this because what I want to know is can we even pass back just like instead of a partial, could we pass back a view component? how tied together are they? Or do we just have to swap out the entire partial for a view component? So that is what we get back in the respond to. What is that giant? What is this? And where? I mean, here's the partial. So that's notification subscriptions, notification subscription HTML. Okay, so that's where it's saying to append it. And so this is saying in the top part, replace. So this one is saying, hang on a second, okay, let's go back. Just doing a bit of memory, jogging. So this one is going to replace this. And so this one must be called, this will be like an application layout or something. Okay, so that's test count. So that's the ID of the one it's going to swap out. Great. So that explains all of that. How is the append happening? Oh, is the append happening? Use notification subscriptions, create turbostream.erb. So this is calling render and is the response from the create on the notification subscriptions controller. However, you are also triggering the create TurboStream ERB on the notification subscriptions controller. So does this response go back and this response goes back? Okay. Could we send more? Because if that was HTML, you get one or the other, right? You can't send two responses to a request. Unless you like merge them into the same thing. But this is sending this one and this one? Notification, and then this is why I'm guessing that. So let's fix the first issue first. So this one here. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. So at notification subscription is presumably like that. It's just not an instance variable. It would be a local because it's set in local. So if we then do unsubscribe, subscribe. Oh no, that has not fixed it. No, that's not fixed. So notification subscription is presumably not being set. Maybe it's just concatenating them? Okay. But then how would it know to... Okay, that's a good call. Let's check. So Finian has put in the chat, maybe they're being concatenated. Oops. Where is... So that's what blows my mind about Safari. When collapsing down the editor, you like remove so much functionality, like that little remove all of these icon. So let's hit that again. Okay, so we've got all of this crap. Don't care about any of that. Then oh damn, I still unsubscribe. So let's do that. Then close all these again. Then hit subscribe. Oh great, so we've got that and that. You are subscribed to... No, we're only getting back... Wait, what? Getting back this one, which is the one we are asking it for in the response. So how is this one coming back? Right, so this is... So this is being... Oh, is one of them... Oh, right, is one of them from Action Cable. Right, okay, hang on a second. Did I forget that we did two separate things here? How does Action Cable work? Oh my god, I've forgotten all these things. Stream for current user. And I can't remember how we actually... Oh, no, we did. No, we. That's the thing that gets that number to increment. No, we swapped that out. Yeah, because originally we just had that number for test count going up using Action Cable, which is fair enough. But no, that one is coming via... check the JavaScript. Hang on, what do you mean? On... hang on, expand on that. Which one what am I missing? Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think that it's... I think it maybe is doing both. So if we did nothing here, so if we just take that out, I think this will still show up. This I'm the notification partial. So let's refresh this. Unsubscribe, then subscribe. Oh, you get it twice. And that was because of the... Wait, do you get it twice every time? Okay. Why do you get the create when you trigger the destroy? Is this coming from this model? Right, okay. It's this, I think. So if we comment that out, I didn't think we got that working. Unsubscribe. And then subscribe. Okay. And then now that's just working on the create and the unsubscribe. Subscribe. 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 Okay. Oh my god, there's so much going on there. Okay, so it's because this broadcast is happening here after the create, and that is broadcast prepend to user subscribable notifications and subscriptions. I think that is what is getting that thing to appear. Oh, holy crap. I only wanted to look at view components. I'm back in TurboFrames, which is crazy powerful now that I think about it, because then you, and that's what TurboFrames is for. So here you're specifying here in this response, please do a swap here on the DOM. But at the model level, you're also saying, please do something cool. And you actually don't even need this. You could do all of that at the model level and just broadcast it and have the other things react, I think. So that's how there's two things happening. And I did just want to check. Okay, I'm hoping Finian can put in the chat if that makes sense. Like, is that a reasonable explanation as to what I think is happening there? So then if we unsubscribe... Oh, is this the thing where we have to unsubscribe a million times because... There we go. So we do have a subscribable. And we're there in the partial. So I was just wondering why that isn't coming out. And then I want to get to the point where we put a view component in it. Come on, let's get to that. So notification descriptions. Is it just that there isn't a .name property? So what does channel have? Is it title or something? has a name. Oh, does that one not have a name? Could get a little wild. Yeah. I think the logs are the thing that's going to help you there. Like logging out where you're actually broadcasting the thing that's happening from, or you come up with something consistent. Oh, okay, so here, like, TurboStream's channel transmitting via stream. Yeah, okay, so this is the thing that's helping us. TurboStream's channel transmitting this prepend. Right, okay, so that's where we have to know that it's coming from. And where's the previous one? Do we get the same thing for the bit in the top right? Yeah. Yeah, okay, so you have to look in the logs to say... No, these are all I am the notification partial ones still. Do you get the equivalent one for the actual response? No, you just get it as TurboStream. Interesting. So that TurboStream one goes back as a normal response. The other ones then go back via action cable asynchronously because they're triggered by the broadcast on the model. Okay. And the other one is then triggered by the fact that it's the create.turbostream for that controller. Shit. Okay, that is a lot. Okay, right. Let's not worry about that. Okay, so why is my? Let's just go back to my more basic question, which is why is this not working? Does that channel just not have a name? So channel 33. Is that why I'm getting screwed over there? Channel.find33.name. Okay, it just doesn't have one. That's super annoying. Because it's the site that we named, not the channel. And we would fix that by giving it the default thing. So if we just subscribe. So why does that not swap it out there anymore? So unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Oh. Gotta fix my partial here. You are subscribed to Sunday Club. Great. Okay, so that's that one. So then in here, we can put a view component, but could we pass, does this have to be like this? Can we just pass a view component back is my question. So when we go to, again, I don't know what the use of that would be. I'm just thinking about how you can all go organize your component library. Let's open a bunch of these because there is like an inline. There's like an inline version, right? You don't have to pass. Here we go. So rendo turbo stream.remove. We're using server-side templates. So it takes a, what does partial give you? So turbostream.append. Is this built into Rails? Don't think so. So it's turbo. Is it just one gem? So in here. Can we just do like was just looking to see what that partial is actually taking for it. Does it just look like for... Can you just pass it a string and that'll just be like, then you could pass it a view component, anything that, or what does it need to take this on here? Is there... Format is automatically switched to entry. It's partial. To replace target content. And what does content actually do? Content. So what is this action? What does render record do? It looks for an actual two partial path. So yeah, I'm guessing not. I'm guessing you do have to pass it a partial. I'm assuming. So what I was looking for is like, could we do... yeah, could all of this go? And you could be like notification component.new, and then you could pass in this. And all that could go. And then you could be passing view components around. Because at the moment we could do this, but we have to wrap it in a partial. And so what I was kind of looking for, but I think that because this will end up here, so you're basically calling, I think, append, which is, well, replace is what we're calling. I'm assuming there's one called replace in here as well. Yes, we're calling replace. Content is the thing we're passing in here. That seems to then end up at action. And because we have content, we would then pass that to... Oh, what does allow inferred rendering do? Oh, it's only... Oh, it's true everywhere other than delete or remove because you don't want to render anything. So yeah, we would hit that. So that we render record, and then render record takes us to this. So I'm doubting that an instance of a view component then responds to partial path. I'm assuming. Oh, actually, just got one called panel component, haven't we? Is this even available in here? I'm assuming not. Yes, it is. No. Okay, fair enough. So it's looking more for more in Rails internal stuff and that, which is fair enough. Okay, so it looks like that's not a goer, which is the last question I really had around this stuff. So you would need to put a component in this partial, and then effectively you are passing that around, and you could still do what we're doing on the model level, which we looked at earlier, and you could again notification subscriptions, and then that did thing. Could you set allow referred rendering to raise false and pass the... Yeah, sorry, I think you could actually. Yeah, so Finian is asking, could you set allow inferred rendering to false? But I think that is set, and then pass it as a block. Okay, that's interesting. Good call. So that would look like Da, da, da. So what does it take then? It takes rendering and a block. No, you would still want the well, let's give it something we've got. We've got a panel component. Okay, so this could be a good component. New title. Test 1, 2, 3. So it'd be replace, the target would be that, content would be this, allowing further rendering would be nil. So you'd get to here, it would say that's nothing, and the template would just be that. Okay, so what does template do then? You're down another level. Okay, yeah, convert to TurboFrames DOM idea, that's just the target. Template gets wrapped in template and then pass away. Yeah, I think it might work. Good shout. Already forgotten which of these I was on. This one. Get rid of this. So we basically see like a weird thing appear up here. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened. Let's give that another try. So let's unsubscribe from that. I'm just going to see this out a bit. Kill that. So now if I subscribe, is this the... Oh, I've got an instance of it. It doesn't actually... Okay, so how do we actually get the content out of a panel component? Do you have to call like we call render on it. But we call render normally. We pass that to a render action. So what does ViewComponent have? What methods does... Oh, can we just ask the... Can we just ask it? Sorry, I'm chopping that off the bottom. So loads of ViewComponent stuff today. .call, yeah, something like that. I was gonna, oh, hang on, let me... is that not... Why can I not ls from... Okay, let's try something. Let's try some obvious ones like .call. Render? Something happening in there. Again, these are kind of things where I'm not sure you would actually want to do them. GitHub, view, component, Rails. Render to string monkey patch sounds good. Render to string. Okay, I'm just kind of guessing around this point. There's probably stuff we can do here. Render component. So can we do like... But do they need like something to render into? Oops. I'm just kind of stabbing around in the dark here. Quickly reading. Okay, but render. Oh, shit. I think I'm way off on all of these things. Render component helper. But I still need. Yeah, like, is that included in? Is used. I don't think. Oh, because I haven't got like an instance of. Okay, I think I'm getting off the beaten track here. Okay, I am not too fussed about digging any deeper than that. I think if anyone has watched this and is really super interested in seeing if they can get that working to return back, I think you probably can. I think Fidion's call is probably a good one. I don't know if that's worth it to be to not have to wrap it. I think I was trying to. Again, I'm just trying to look for the edges of what ViewComponent kind of does and how you can pass it around and things like that. I don't think I have any specific huge takeaways from this. Like, I really like it. I like it a lot. And I think that I would definitely use ViewComponent on a new project, like without a lot of hesitation. And especially alongside probably use Tailwind as well. I think just those two together seem like a good fit. I think that you would maybe go, if you had a designer who wanted to go off the beaten track, then Tailwind's probably not your best call, because I don't see a huge difference in if you're putting your own components together. You can still use your own utilities libraries. You just need a smaller subset, and again, they don't have to be utility based. They can be component based, because it says like they're like 10 kilobytes or whatever. But most component library ones, you'd only have a few classes for each one as well. So I just don't know, other than the shared API of new developers coming on board being helpful. Maybe that's great at scale. Maybe it's not. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's wrap it up, because it is an hour and a half of me rabbiting on. So right, what are we gonna do? So I don't really want to go keep going with the UI too much, because there's only so much UI coding that is so particularly interesting. So what I really want to do is I've got some thoughts around wrapping this app up, basically. So there's two things I want to do, which is see if we can get the Twitch streams running alongside the YouTube channel stuff, because I think that's interesting, because Twitch doesn't have the concept of a persistent video, I think. So I wonder how that even works. Like, what does that look like, and how would we model that? That I'm interested in, because we've said we're going to do it from the start. And then the second thing is really probably not even on the stream, just going through and tidying up the repos so that anyone who looks back at these streams actually has the code to refer to. I think, unless anyone has anything, they reach out with any kind of burning things that they really would like to cover. I think that there's like another project that I would like to jump into, because it's something that I think I'm going to be working on anyway. And rather than making it like a toy app, maybe work on something more real. I don't know. That would probably change the tone of these, because rather than just surface level glancing across stuff, we would probably be looking more at the modeling and just delve in way more deep on something that I actually do really care about being usable. I'm not sure about that, because we just have so little time on a Sunday morning, because I've got to go and do normal life stuff after this. So if anyone has any particular thoughts around that, or if they'd rather we maybe even just didn't work on the same app each week and just went and looked at different gems or stuff like that, then let me know. People have reached out with different stuff. So my Twitter is in the video description, and then also people occasionally write comments on the YouTube videos as well. But as usual, thank you to anyone who has watched live, or thank you to anyone who watches later on the YouTube versions. Have a lovely day. I hope you're all enjoying wherever you are. We are coming out of lockdown here in the UK, and I went out for dinner for the first time, definitely for the first time this year, last night, which is super exciting. So I hope you're all having a great time. And I will see you all next week, and we will do some stuff with Twitch, which I do not know anything about at all. So we'll go and see how that API works and have a poke around over there. Have a great week, everybody.